So let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome everybody to today's episode of the Quarter Century Soldier here on the Felix Black Show. We're talking about 2011 and what I did that year in my military career. Got my notes written out, and I got some other stuff just to jog my memory on the way. Okay, so coming off of 2010, again, like I always say, if you didn't see that episode, go check that out, 2010. So I'm coming into, thank you. Thank you. So I'm coming into 2011 off of 2010, right? And like I said, at the end of 2010, now you good. I'll just put that into the regular video. It adds some spice. Coming into 2011, coming over 2010, like I said, I wasn't getting along with my boss in 2010. He was just, trying to compare me to someone else. And that's never fair when you try to compare people, right? I like to be evaluated on my own merit. And this is something that goes into dating too. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent. Once we start talking in dating, we start talking about other people and, men usually, women usually, or, men I've known before, women I've known before. That's unfair comparison. I don't have anything to do with those people, right? I don't care what they did or didn't do. Evaluate me on what I'm doing. And so back to the working portion, like I always said, one thing you're not going to be able to critique me on is my job. Like my work ethic, I'm such a perfectionist and I try to get as close to great as I can or as close to perfect as I can, that there's not really much room for you to critique my job. Over my years in the military, people have rarely, and I'm not bullshitting, rarely critiqued my actual work ethic. What they do is they critique my attitude, right? Oh, you're nonchalant. Oh, it doesn't look like you do anything all day because, you're not walking around like a chicken with his head cut off with a bunch of papers. I don't fake the game, right? I make it look easy because I don't like to work. I like to finish my job and go sit on my ass. Why? Because I get paid the same whether I'm walking around for 12 hours or whether I'm sitting down for 12 hours, right? I get paid the same. So why do I want to be busy for 12 hours? I'm not giving you all that effort. Fuck that. No. So they've always critiqued my attitude. Rightfully so. Sometimes I've had an attitude. Sometimes I haven't had an attitude. I'm just not rah, sis, boom, bah. I don't panic. That's just how I'm built. And so when they've critiqued me as a soldier, right, as my job, they've critiqued me to say, let's say your boss gives you something to do, right? They give me a task. Hey, research this, look into this. Now, it's not a 1 hour, 2 hour thing. Maybe it's like a week. The one thing that I've been criticized for not doing is following up, keeping them in the loop in the process. Okay. And that's something that I don't do. If you give me a task to do, I'm going to do the task. I'm going to complete it. And then when I'm done, I'm going to let you know. If I run into issues, then I will circle back to you. And then, hey, these are some of the issues I'm running into. If I need assistance or it may delay, it may take me longer. So other than that, no news is good fucking news. Like I'm not going to run back to you every 5 minutes and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Hey, this is what I'm doing. Right. That takes some trust in you as a leader and trust in me as a leader, as a, worker. So the one critique is, yes, I'm not a person that keeps someone in the loop so they don't know where I'm at with it. And that's fair. That's fair. I can agree with that. And once you give me a task, I want to complete it and then I'll let you know. Right. But one thing they've never said is I have a bad work ethic. I don't care about my work. They get the impression I don't care because, again, people are visual. If you're not in the Army, they want you to work 10, 12 hours, and that means you're being productive. And I'm against that thought process. If you're working 10 to 12 hours every single day, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? There isn't that much work that has to be done. 10 to 12 hours a day for 5 days a week? No fucking way. That's crazy. There's no way. I'm never going to do that, right? Because I always tell people that your job is going to replace you like that if something happens to you. So you work, you put in effort, get to a stopping point, and save that shit for tomorrow, right? Because you know who pays for all of that? 12 hours, 10 hours? Your family, right? Your family pays that debt too because you're gone so much. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, I retired, right? So all of those people that wanted me to put in 10, 12 hours, where are they at now? You know who's here with me, around me? My family still. You see what I'm saying? So trying to get an attaboy, trying to get you did a good job, an award, that shit means nothing. I got awards upstairs in a box. I didn't even hang on the wall because it's not that serious, right? So yes, put forth effort, but don't overexert yourself trying to get the attaboys. If you want to get a raise, okay. But I'm not one to sacrifice everything just for a temporary job that could fire you, right? Because we can go from hero to zero in a minute. So I say all that to say I'm coming off of, 2010. I'm not getting along with my boss. He's doing shit that, again, he can't directly say I'm not doing a good job. He just doesn't like my attitude. Okay, that's on you, bro. I'm not doing anything offensive. I'm just not your cup of tea. And I'm always going to be okay with that. I'm always. If I did nothing to offend you, I've done right by you. I've not done anything like negative to you, and you just don't like my attitude. Okay. Okay. I'm okay with that. So I re-enlisted in 2011. I had to get the fuck out of there, right? Because again, I'm coming off a deployment. He was a slick sleeve. He hadn't deployed. And to me, having a deployment under your belt made you credible. Just how I carried it, right? Because you did your duty as a soldier. Yeah, we're not there. Soldiers in the armed forces are not there for necessarily protecting the United States. That's what the National Guard is for, right? National Guard is literally in the name. So when you're a soldier, airman, like your job is to go to war for the country. When we are home and there is no war, what are we doing? We're training. We're training just in case we get the call. But during this time, we had an active conflict going on. So that's the way I've carried it. That's the way I will carry it. If you sign up, if you sign up during a time of peace, which I did, I wasn't anticipating an Iraqi conflict or an Afghanistan conflict. When you sign up in a time of peace, okay. But we're training to go to wars. That's what you do. So I wasn't rocking with him at all. So before I give someone that much control and before I get in trouble, because again, my personal self will get my professional self in trouble because they're two different people, and my personal self, I'm the A side. I'm the A side in everything that I do. And so while I don't meet men and like size them up, like I'm not coming second to nobody. Maybe my dad, that's it, right? He's the king. He gave me the DNA. I'm the prince. Maybe him, not maybe him. Okay. Anybody else, we're on level playing ground. You're not going to out alpha me, but it's not like I'm jockeying for position. I respect it, right? You an alpha, I'm an alpha. Cool. We reign together, right? Kings reign together. You're a king over there. I'm a king over here. Cool. I'm not trying to overtake anybody. But if you're a beta and all that type of stuff, get to the back of the bus, right? Like that's the way that I carry it. And so in the military, there are a lot of people who are faking it. you're not like this in real life. Meaning you're not like this personally. You're like this because you have a rank on your chest and people treat you as such. But take that away, who are you? Right? You don't have that same vigor. I guarantee it. And so that is one of my biggest issues over these 25 years. I've come across a lot of people that take that as being, yeah, I'm the big dog here. Nah, big dog has nothing to do with like your rank or position. It has to do with your character, how you carry yourself, how you take care of other people. You know what I'm saying? So I recognize that, and that's how I choose to give people those flowers. That's just me. I don't give a fuck what your rank is. I don't care what you did. It's who you are. Who you are at your foundation, at your core. So I had to I re-enlisted in 2011, and at this point, I'm over 10 years. And so once you re-enlist once you're over 10 years and you go to re-enlist, you're now indefinite. So before, you re-enlist for 3 years, for 4 years, 5, 6, whatever you want to do, 2. But after you go over 10, it's indefinite. So there is no like 3-year, my contract ends. So now you're basically, you can basically retire at 20, or I don't even know the process for getting out at like 15 or 20. I think you have to like apply for separation. I don't know. I was under the impression that at 10 you were going to do 20, but not everybody does that, right? Not everybody does that. And I don't know the process for getting out early. So I'm over 10. I re-enlist for indefinite. So at this point, I'm in it for a career, right? After you're over 10 years, the Army looks at you like you're just anybody. You're not the young and the bold anymore, because they give they want the young ones to stay in. So that's why you get those signing bonuses, and you get like choice of duty station and stuff like that, because they want to placate to you. They want you to stay in. And so what I did is I re-enlisted. Again, I'm still the biological research scientist. I have that. So I move over to what they call AFRRI, the Armed Forces Radiobiology Research Institute. And that's in Bethesda, Maryland. So I'm currently, 2010, I'm at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research in DC. I re-enlisted to move 30 minutes down the road to another duty station, another research institute, AFRRI, Armed Forces Radiobiology Research Institute. And this was joint. So it had all Air Force, Navy, Army, everybody. And we were attached to USHIS, which is the Uniform Services Health Services. Basically, it's the medical school for the armed forces. So we had dealings with them, the up and coming doctors going through the officers going through medical school to become military doctors. That is also located in Bethesda, Maryland. So Walter Reed shut down, and they co-located at Naval Base Bethesda, Maryland. And so now you have this Walter Reed National Naval Military Medical Center. It's this whole thing that they rotate commanders being Army and Navy, because it's just this huge campus. And, that's where the president gets seen. That's where, a lot of our service members get seen in DC. So I moved 30 minutes down the road. So this is why I was in DC so long, because, I came to DC in 2005, and then I moved to the Research Institute, and then I re-enlisted to stay there. I'm trying to leave DC because I don't like the area. I don't like the DMV. It's too crowded. It's too expensive. And, you're just piled on top of each other. Traffic is ridiculous. Basically, I'm in traffic an hour and a half each way. Well, in the morning, It's a little bit quicker because I'm leaving early. But you have people that work have people that work overnight. You have people that get to work early just to find a place to park. The hospital is always lacking when it comes to parking. So I have to leave earlier in the morning just to get there, so that means me going to the gym, taking my uniform, changing there. I'm basically at work from like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning until maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. Not by choice, it's just because once you get there, you stay there. So I re-enlisted to go there. That I was reporting there in July of 2011. But before I move over there, I get another special assignment. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I get all these special assignments because I'm qualified. Because I do a good job, man. It sucks that people want to focus in on your attitude and who you are as a person because they can't adapt to it. People who adapted to it or people who understood me, we got along just fine, right? Because they took the time to understand. People who didn't, we didn't get along because if you're not going to take the time to get to know me, I'm not going to take the time to get to know you. I don't care. I don't care. At 3 and 4 years, you're out of here. Or 3 or 4 years, I'm gone. So you're just a blip on the radar, right? You're no one that I have to learn to understand because you're temporary. I'm temporary. That's the way I look at working. So before I go over there and actually officially move, I go on a special assignment to the Armed Forces Medical Examiner's Office in Dover, Delaware. And this is where casualties of the war, they all come through Dover, Delaware, because this is where the caskets, they have the American flag draped on them. And, there's a ceremony to unload the bodies of, fallen service members due to conflict. But it's not just due to conflict. Service members get in car accidents, unfortunately. Service members die in training accidents, unfortunately. And so Dover was where we would go to investigate, and then they would, bring the bodies and they do autopsies on them to just give them a final cause of death. So as a research, as a lab tech, you do autopsies. You assist the pathologist in autopsy because the pathologist is the doctor for the lab, and they do the autopsies. So they happen just as you see on TV in the movies, right? I don't know the specifics about who gets one, and because I know that you can opt out of getting one, and I know that you can request one. So that's what we did while I was assigned. Well, while I was there temporarily, I was there for like 60 days. I didn't receive the bodies of fallen service members from the planes. That was people who were actually assigned there, rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? Like they had the process for unloading them. And that's not something that I would say that you take lightly. Definitely that is a duty that you're supposed to be doing. And they gave, that's the ultimate sacrifice. That's what I'm talking about. As being a service member, like that is literally the job, is to go to war. So they gave the ultimate sacrifice, and they come back through Dover and, just to get the proper paperwork, the proper death certificates, the proper paperwork to give to the family. That way, they get the military honors of whether it's a military funeral, burial at a military cemetery, all of those type of things. So that's what we did there. We did the autopsies, and then we had so I went there with like 3 other people. And so one or two of them went to take photos, because when you get to scenes where an accident, where a service member has been killed, they take pictures just like they do, for regular anyone else, and the police, the forensics and stuff like that. So basically, we're forensic examiner's office. And so we're all lab, just like CSI. That's true. Like all of that stuff is real. And so that's what we did while I was there. And so that, that was very rewarding to be able to help families going through a tough time and to learn just more about the process military wise. You know what I'm saying? I like to do that kind of behind the scenes type stuff that you kind of see, but you don't understand until you're there. So yeah, the medical examiner's office. So then after I'm done with that assignment, I go over to the Radiobiology Research Institute. And I work in the lab there. So this is where I get my first experience with research, meaning we have drugs, we have, the Institute is doing different research on drugs, I know for sure. And what it is I run the blood of the animals that they have. We don't get any training on animals, right? In the lab. So I don't know what the value of a pig's glucose level is. I don't know the value of a pig's kidney, what the range is for that. Like, I don't know. So I'm learning kind of what the baseline is. So once you get a new mouse in, they drew blood from mice. Once you get a new mouse, you have to do blood work on it. Just like when you go to your doctor for the first time, we do the blood work to see what the baseline is. Okay. So for mouse 1, baseline is 20. And then as the mouse is going through the research, they get blood drawn at different intervals. I had nothing to do with the actual protocols, just the results, just running of the blood, maintaining the machines, making sure that the machines were giving off the right results. And that's, as a lab tech, that's a lot of what we do. Because these results are going into research studies. If you bring in the mouse, the baseline is 20, and then during the research, it goes from 20 to 21 to 25 to 230 to 230 to 50, right? Whoever's in charge of that research study is going to put all of those results together. And so they're going to use my results from the blood samples that they give me. I say that because if you're making a breakthrough, right? If you're seeing improvements or, if you're seeing the numbers that you want, whether you want the numbers to go up or whether you want the numbers to go down with the treatment, that's how we lead. That's how we get to this breaking, when you see on the news, a new drug has been found to lower, cancer cells in mice. That's what that comes from. Right? That's what that comes from. They're looking at the numbers. And this is not just one, right? This is thousands that they have and years of study. You have to be sure that the numbers are consistent because everybody's body is different. So before we say a drug is good to go to lower weight or to lower, diabetes or increase the pancreas making insulin, we have to get years of data to make sure that it's accurate. And so that's what I did. I ran the machines. This was my first year there. I ran the machines, ran the lab. I was in charge of the lab. It was just me because the civilian that was there threatened to quit like every day, apparently. So Harley, that was his name. I had to work in there with him. He was an old white guy, grumpy, but he threatened to quit every day. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess maybe he felt underappreciated. Not really sure why, but he threatened to quit. So they put me in there with him. He eventually ended up leaving and going to live in Costa Rica. So he lives in Costa Rica right now. And then, it was just me by myself in the lab. But it was very cool. And, I talked about this in an earlier video, but I'll rehash it again. People don't necessarily like that we do research using animals, but it's not, from what I saw, from what I was involved in, it is not cruel at all. We had vet techs, veterinary technicians, we had veterinarians, we had a veterinary sciences department dedicated to caring for the animals, right? Making sure that the animals stayed fed, what's the word I'm looking for? They give them enrichment, they give them games, they give them things to do, so they're not just in a cage. They let them out so they can, like, they have a playground and stuff like that they can move around in. So it was like pigs, it was monkeys, it was mice. And then the ones that make it through the studies, they get donated to a farm where they just live out the rest of their life, right? So I know we see a lot of videos. We're always going to take the worst of what we see. And yes, I'm assuming some research facilities are overly cruel. I don't deny that. But the work that I did, you had to get approval to use them, right? So if you wanted to use mice, you had to submit an approval packet to a panel that met, and they looked over your protocol. They looked to see what you were doing, what were the results going to be, if the animals were going to be in pain, how long they were going to be in pain, what you were going to do if something didn't go according to plan, how often you were going to check on them. Like, it was really, really thorough. I know because I later took over that department the following year. So yeah, it wasn't any cruelty from what I see naturally. Okay. I will say this. When you see the drug commercials, when you see the drug commercials and they say, Ozempic, yeah, you can lose weight. It will help with your diabetes, but you could get nausea, vomiting, all of that type of stuff. It sounds like you would get all of the side effects. That's not true. Could you? Yeah. But usually you maybe get one or two. But they have to put that disclaimer in because someone during the clinical trials experienced that. And so you have to put that into the disclaimer. If one person experienced vomiting, that's a possible side effect, right? It doesn't, you can't say, well, no, there's only one person. No. One person experienced that. So you have to be cognizant that someone else might. So all of that comes from just the process and documenting what people have been going through. So now I came from clinical trials at my last duty station, and we were in the phase where we were administering drugs to humans to seeing how it worked. But now I'm here at this research institute and it's animals. And that's why that's before humans. So we take the data that we get from the animals, and if it looks like it's working, it looks like it's improving or, degrading whatever it is you're looking for, that's when we move into human trials. But it was very interesting. The vivarium was always, full of animals, and the vet techs there were really, really good. Like they really like animals. Like, people will be like, I like animals. I want to be a vet tech. Vet techs that I worked with really liked animals. Like, they weren't, if they thought you were mistreating them, because let's say you have a team, you have a doctor, or you have someone who has a doctorate. He or she leads the team. Then you have other technicians like myself Navy technicians, medical lab technicians, research technicians that are in charge of like drawing the blood, getting the blood to the lab. Just they're in charge of surveillance, being vigilant, watching to see, kind of what animals are doing what animal is kind of, if an animal is suffering or something like that. And so the vet techs are like a second set of eyes. They care for the animals daily, even the ones that aren't in the study, even the ones that are past the study. So they have a schedule of, what animals are just, living in the vivarium because they just arrived, and, they're getting them acclimated, which ones are going are in an actual study, and which ones are finishing, which ones are done. And so their main concern is the safety of the animals and just making sure that they're not going through any undue stress. And they do that. They will report your ass in 1 millisecond if they feel things are not on the up and up. And rightfully so. That's their job, is to do that. And so, they did it, and they did a really good job with it. So I worked with them for 4 years. But as of right now, at this moment, I'm in charge of the laboratory. So I'm just in charge of, I'm a part of the department, veterinary sciences department, but I haven't taken over yet. So now I'm just working in the lab. I worked there for like a year, and then I moved to be, in charge of the section. While I was there, I also went through security forces training. So again, this is a joint base. I think it was Navy led, but I think the security forces was Air Force led. Basically, what security forces, like gate guards, riot police. Basically, if some stuff kicked off on the base, we were force protection. We were in charge of like locking the base. Not me. I wasn't in charge of locking the base down, but they locked the base down. And if they did like 100% checks, we would be on the gates, weapons, batons, vests, stuff like that. So we were in charge of force protection. And I was the first soldier to go through the training and complete the training. So yeah, hung my hat on that. I'm in the newspaper. I have the newspaper clipping around here somewhere. I'll probably have to grab that for you guys. I'll grab that here in a minute, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it was just like you go through the training, and the biggest thing is we get OC spray. What's that called? When you get what's it called? What's it called when you get sprayed with the mace, right? It's like a version of mace. So what they do is they spray you across your forehead, and you have to go through these obstacles. You probably seen it online, and you have to there's dudes in padded like catchers, almost like a catcher for a baseball team. They're in padded like helmets and stuff like that. They're trying to like grab you, and you got to do like these maneuvers to get them off you. Hit them with the baton, bop, bop. Stuff like that, but you can't see, right? So you have to rely on your training, because that ish burns. Like, you don't necessarily feel it, but as soon as you don't feel it initially, because they spray it across your forehead and it just like drains into your eyes. Sometimes they get the person really good, and sometimes the person has like a cone head or something like that, so they don't have a lot of forehead where it can drain down into your eyes. When you talk about burning, and you talking about like, get off me, somebody trying to grab you, get off me, like back up and stuff like that. It makes for interesting entertainment when you watch somebody go through it. And that's part of it. It's almost like how do you say? It's almost like a rite of passage, right? The training, you're not going to fail. Everyone's going to fight people off. And, if the OC is bothering you that much, and you're kind of getting, the person is getting the best of you, they kind of back off a little bit. It's just a rite of passage you have to go through. And we got a kick out of spraying the people just because I went through it. So now you have to go through it type deal. But yeah, first soldier to go through and completely and pass it. And so also, again, President Obama is in office during this time, 2011. And so when he comes to visit Walter Reed National Naval Medical Center or Naval Medical Center, whatever, we lock the base down. So here's the process. We know the president's coming, right? It's hush, hush. Shh. President's coming. He's coming tomorrow. Right? So what does that mean? The president's coming tomorrow. It's supposed to be on the hush hush. We know because we're force protection, and we're going to have to deal with his advance party. So he has an advance party that comes and, checks the pathway. Okay, we're going to come through this gate, go this direction, and, he's going to get out here, stuff like that. So basically, we're in charge of locking down the roads. Hey, put a cone here, put a guard. Can't come this way. You got to go the other way, right? That's all our job is. And I was there, for 4 years. So we had multiple visits by the president. He would come to, visit service members who were returning, who might have been hurt. The Wounded Warrior ward was, a very popular one. But the thing is that people was like, people think that it's a cool thing that he's coming. It's really not, because he F's up the traffic on base. So it always leaked out that the president was going to visit. It probably leaked out maybe like an hour or two before he was supposed to come. And your best bet, if you didn't have anything to do with him visiting, was to leave. Because if he gets there at like 3, because he got there like end of the day. He gets there like 3 or 4. You're stuck for about 3 hours. Easily. Because there's literally limited movement. So when he's on his way, no movement. And of course, they're going to stagger the times. They're going to, he's on his way. He probably hasn't even left yet, right? They want you to be prepared. They're not going to let you know at the last minute that he's coming. They just can't do that. So they'll say he's on his way. Then it's another hour before he shows up. So then you take that time. There's no movement. So we have to lock down whatever pathway they've chosen for him to get on, to go on base. And then when he's in the hospital, we get the clear that, hey, he's in the hospital. However, there's still going to be some roads that are closed down. You can't go this way. Right. And so now you may be in an area where you can't even get out of your parking garage. Right. Because we've locked the road down. And so you're stuck there until he leaves. And then when he's on his way out. So, okay, he's leaving the ward. Lock everything down. No movement. Meaning you're pretty much going to be, I said lockdown, but there's no movement, right? So you're basically all of the roads stopped, boom, people walking. Hey, you can't walk on this road. Get the out of here because, we have VIP coming. And then he leaves the base. He has to get cleared a certain distance. And then, it's all opened up again. But it's a pain in the ass. It really is, right? It really is. So at some point, people just started leaving because, oh, shit, the president's coming. We got to get the hell out of here because you're going to get stuck here for 3 hours if you stay until, he comes. What else did I do that year? Hold on. Let me look at something. Pop, pop, pop. Yeah, the security. Oh, okay. So also when I first got, 2011 was busy. We had like a little earthquake. While I was there, it was like a little room shaker, wasn't nothing big, not like, y'all out there in Cali. I'm not trying to compare, but I've never been through one. So it was like a little rumbly. It's like, it was like, oh, what was that? What was that? Like, that was a little earthquake. I was like, word? Like, it's insane. So we had a little one. We did go through one. But another one, something else that I did while I was there is in Japan, they had a nuclear reactor meltdown, right? Tomodachi. And so they put a little team together to put together the information. So when they had the nuclear reactor meltdown, American families had to be evacuated from over there. What they did was they also got readings for radiation reading. And so that was the job at AFRRI, Armed Forces Radiobiology, radiation research. So we were doing radiation research. So we were compiling the numbers from family members, everybody who was in striking distance or at a certain perimeter who was over there. And so we put those numbers together into a database, and that was insane. We had like 9,000 soldiers and family members. And we just had to compile data into a database, and just in case any, to log it to see if anyone had any, outrageous readings, but then also to log it for later. This is radiation is not something that necessarily will mess you up instantly, but it could have long-term effects. So, it was good to put that. It was good to put that in a database for them, because you never know. That was 2011. It's 14 years ago. So who knows what type of effects they've gotten from that. But hopefully everybody's okay. But yeah, just 9,000 service members and their family members. And we just had to put all of that into a database. It was like a team of 6 of us. And that was just grueling. It was just grueling paperwork. But you understood like what you were doing it for. So there's another little special assignment while I was waiting to get cleared to go into the radiation research facility. So yeah, I got to handle rodents, pigs, you know what I'm saying? That was interesting. I'm not a animal person. I like dogs. Like, I rock with dogs. But like horses, pigs, like, I'm not a farmer. So I'm not into it like that. Animals are cool, and I'm not negative towards animals or anything like that, but just, yeah, they do their thing, I do my thing. This is a dog. Like, I'm all about dogs. Dogs are cool. Hold on, let me go get that photo for y'all to show that I'm credible here, right? And I'm not stolen valor. I owe you guys a picture. I owe you guys a photo. I can't find it. I thought it was in my my box of stuff. Wasn't in there. But I have to show y'all in one of the other videos. Yeah, so that was 2011, man. It was a lot of moving parts. Getting to a new duty station 30 minutes down the road. But I was involved in a lot of special projects that year. And then got to start doing some radiation research, which is different. Not a lot of people get to do that. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank y'all for watching episode 2011. This was lucky number 13. We are moving right along. We're getting into those interesting years. So if you haven't already, please watch the previous ones. They're on YouTube. And they're actually here on Twitch as well. So if you want to see the live show, I know if you're watching on YouTube, you want to see the live show. It's here on Twitch every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And I will see y'all in episode 14, 2012.